Hello, everyone. Scott Moore, the AAA's HR and Operations Consultant, with a quick take update on the various mandatory vaccination rules that got issued back in November. So this past Friday, December 17th, the U.S. District Court of Appeals for the Sixth Circuit issued a 57-page ruling that started my phone ringing on Friday evening, throughout the weekend, and all day yesterday. This 57-page ruling overturned an earlier national injunction which was enjoining the OSHA mandatory vaccination or testing requirements. So just as a quick review, on November 4th, both OSHA and the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services issued emergency temporary rules. Under the OSHA rules, these employers with 100 or more employees had to mandate their employees to get vaccinated or require masking and weekly testing of all employees. On the same day, the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services issued emergency temporary rules requiring any certified healthcare facility to mandate that their employees become vaccinated against COVID-19. Also included in that rule was a requirement that any organization providing services to that healthcare facility under contract, their employees had to be vaccinated as well if they interacted with that facility's patients or that facility's staff. Now, on the same day, the Safer Workforce Task Force issued an update to their emergency vaccination rules, which pushed the compliance date out to January 4th so that it was consistent with both the CMS and the OSHA emergency temporary rules. Now, shortly after those rules were published, numerous interest groups, numerous states started filing legal actions in numerous or various courts around the country. As you can see through this timeline, there are 9 different decisions that have impacted these various rules. If you want the details on each one of those, I won't go over those now. You can log into the AAA members area and look at the member advisories that I drafted as each one of these decisions were published. There are 2, though, that I wanted to make sure we highlighted. So on December 15th, the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Fifth Circuit affirmed an earlier injunction. So a Louisiana judge, a Louisiana federal court judge, had issued an injunction for 14 of the plaintiff states and expanded that injunction nationwide. So in other words, the plaintiffs that had filed an injunction in this particular case, the judge said, I will issue an injunction for those states, as well as believing that it needed to be issued nationwide. Well, on December 15th, the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Fifth Circuit said that essentially they would affirm the decision as it related to the plaintiff states in that action, but overturn the decision for those who were not, from the states who were not party to that decision. So when you go back on November 29th, a different federal court, the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals, issued an injunction for the CMS mandatory vaccination requirements in 10 states. So the blue states here, there was a preliminary injunction and then an affirmed injunction for those states, for any certified healthcare facility in those states. Now, on the following day, this Louisiana, the Western District Division of Louisiana, a federal judge, issued a follow-up injunction. This follow-up injunction was for the 14 plaintiff states, and this particular judge decided to expand this injunction to the entire country. So, important to understand, the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Fifth Circuit, so this was just last December 15th, the Fifth Circuit overturned that injunction as it related to the non-plaintiff states in that action. So, where we sit today, this map shows you that there in 24 states, there is still an injunction on the CMS mandatory vaccination requirements. However, if you're sitting in one of the gray states in this map, you should be prepared for your employees to be vaccinated, and you should be prepared to be compliant with the requirements by January 4th. If you haven't already heard from your certified healthcare facility, the ones that you do work with, you should be expecting it. If you do not have a contract with the certified healthcare facility, well, then these rules won't apply to you. However, it is highly likely that you will be covered under one of the others. So just to give you sort of a quick update on where we are, the OSHA Vaccination and Testing ETS, the compliance date is January 4th. That is for any employer with 100 or more employees must vaccinate or require masking and weekly testing. Now, when these rules were issued back in November, the rules made a provision for any healthcare provider who was subject to the OSHA healthcare ETS. That ETS required masking for any non-vaccinated individuals, and there were a few other rules. So when OSHA issued those rules in November, they made an exception for anyone who was subject to the June healthcare ETS. However, just recognize that the June healthcare ETS expires on December 21st, which means that all employers with 100 or more employees are going to have to mandate vaccination or require masking with weekly testing of their employees because the healthcare ETS has expired. For federal contractors, anyone who has a federal contract, those mandatory vaccination rules are still enjoined nationally. Lastly, on the CMS vaccination emergency temporary rules, they are enjoined in the 5th and 8th circuits. So you can see those states listed right here on the slide. For those who are not in those states, so for the 26 states listed at the bottom of this slide, you are still going to have to be compliant if you have a contract with a certified healthcare facility by January 4th. Lots have happened. I anticipate that we will see additional legal actions, additional cases. However, what I've said in every single member advisory as these injunctions were issued is please prepare to be compliant by January 4th. I'm just in case these injunctions get overturned, which in this case they did. If you have questions, you're not certain what applies to you, what doesn't, just send an email to hello@ambulance.org. That email will get routed to me. Alternatively, you can certainly email me at smore@moreemsconsulting.com, and we'll make sure that you have all of the information that you need to be compliant. With that, I know there's a lot going on, and of course, it's the holidays. I hope that you all have a wonderful, healthy, and happy holiday season. Thank you.